All road leads to the Allianz Arena on the 31st of May. It is the UEFA Champions League final. Who would the contestant be? Fingers crossed that after the UEFA Champions League draw, knockout stage was held last week. We have some tantalizing fixtures and we can't wait to delve into the action. Welcome to Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. It promises to be another exciting time on the show today. We have a lot in store for you from the local scene, and of course we're going abroad where we give you all the latest gist from the top leagues, not forgetting the big one that went down in Saudi Arabia. Yes, all about boxing. And from the world of tennis, we have a history maker in Mira Andreeva. Don't forget that we'll wrap up the show, of course, with the Tipsters Corner, where we give you some juicy pointers to some of the games that are going down in the weekend. Don't forget, this is Sports Pizza, and of course, it is Edwin alongside David. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we get the ball rolling. Welcome back. This is Sports Pizza. Edwin alongside David in the building. David, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Edwin, I'm good. I'm trying to be good. Let me just be here because what Arsenal did this weekend was not the very best. But generally, you talked about the Munich final. I remember where I was the last Munich. This one of those finals where you remember exactly when it happened in 2012. Even though it was not good for as an Arsenal fan, Chelsea became the first London team to win the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal are still looking for their first title. But I think generally it was a fantastic final. We're looking forward to another fantastic one this year.
All right, David, let's start with the UEFA Champions League. A quick look at the draws: PSV versus Arsenal, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain versus Liverpool, Club Brugge versus Aston Villa. We have Benfica versus Barcelona, Dortmund versus Lille, Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen, and Feyenoord versus Inter Milan. Which draw stands out for you?
I mean, the most obvious one, the Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, the Madrid derby in the round of 16. Very strange. I mean, we've seen it in two finals. This is a round of 16. But, it's always a very feisty game when it comes to the Champions League. Also, PSG versus Liverpool. There are a lot of, things going on in my head about how that game is going to shape up. You cannot really call it confident. Liverpool have been good in spells, and also they've shown a lot of weaknesses. PSG look like they've gone. Enrique has finally banished the era of the superstars. They now have a team that can actually play football and collective. So those two ties for me are the most exciting. All right.
At the start of the season, the top three favorites, according to bookies, we had Manchester City, we had Real Madrid, and Liverpool. Now the season started. It moved from Liverpool to Inter Milan and Arsenal and Real Madrid, then Barcelona. In this moment, David, you take a look at the sides of the draw, both sides of the draw. I get a feeling that perhaps the road is smoother for Barcelona to the final for this season's Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the strength of, the fact that this year, because of the change of format and everything, you can now actually plot your, routes to the final directly, and, they are split to two halves. So, your own half, the teams you are likely to face, and, Real Madrid have Arsenal somewhere, and if Arsenal go through, they have, Liverpool somewhere. So, it's a really, really difficult side for Real Madrid. But for Barcelona, it looks a little bit easier on paper. But, I mean, it's all on paper right now.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now, David. Who are your top two favorites for the final?
I think you can't go past Real Madrid in the Champions League. There's a reason why they are 15 times champions. But also, I think on Barcelona's side, the draw is looking likely. How they have played, I think what Flick is doing is, set up for a cup competition. I think it's Barcelona and Real Madrid for me in the final.
Don't forget that most of these favorites are heavily involved in a title challenge in their respective leagues. In England, let's just say it's Liverpool's to lose. But in Spain and, of course, in Italy, it's a three-way battle. You have Atalanta, you have Inter Milan and Napoli. In Spain, you have the top three, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. Do you think this could affect how these respective coaches approach the knockout stage of the Champions League?
I think for some teams, they will be able to handle it much better than the other. For Inter Milan, I think the questions still remain for Simone Inzaghi, how he has been able to manage both the Champions League and the league. When they've done well in the league, they've struggled in the Champions League. When they've done well in the Champions League, the league has suffered. But for Real Madrid, they are usual customers. Ancelotti did the unthinkable last year, winning an unprecedented double, even with all the troubles he had in it. So I think he'll be able to navigate it better. For Barcelona, Flick's Barcelona is still a very unknown quantity. I mean, they've delivered some some extreme highs that we can't even explain, and then they've done some lows that we can also explain. So, but I think they are a little bit, primed for being able to manage it. Flick is a manager of experience. He has done it before in the Champions League. So I think some teams will manage it better, some teams will find it difficult.
All right, for those wondering, when is the knockout phase of the Champions League started? Let me give you the days. The round of 16 starts on the 4th and 5th of March. The second leg will take place on the 11th and 12th of March. The quarterfinals will take place on the 8th and 9th of April. The second leg takes place on the 15th and 16th of April. The semi-finals will take place on the 29th and 30th of April, while the second leg will take place on the 6th and 7th of May, and the final is on the 31st of May 2025. Now, away from the Champions League, David, a quick one in the English Premier League. The title is Liverpool's to lose. Absolutely.
I mean, the odds on favorite right now. The percentage of them winning the title is 91.5%. I mean, I don't see how they're going to lose it from this position. So, I mean, they've done very well this season. They've had highs, lows, but they've been the most consistent over the course of the season. So I think they're deserving champions at this point.
From Arsenal's perspective, David, it was a season that promised so much more. A season where they were supposed to take advantage of any slip-up from Manchester City. Unfortunately, it's towing the path of despair. What went wrong?
I think it's a mixture of two factors. I think, challenging City for 2 years, it took a lot from Arsenal. But this season, going to this, they did not do enough. I still say that they did not do enough to actually consolidate. This was the season they were supposed to actually go all the way. The injuries they suffered, if they had done better enforcement, better business, it would have not been much of this, how it happened. Then Liverpool coming from nowhere. I think a lot of people really talked about how Liverpool last season, they were really, in the title race for a long time. In February, they dropped off. And, but with the uncertainty of slots coming in, a lot of people did not give them a chance. But what they've done this season was unprecedented.
David, will it be an indictment on Arteta if Arne Slot, in his first season in charge of Liverpool, wins the league title?
I think there will be a lot of questions asked of Arteta. I think, fine, you can put it on the merit of what both teams are about and what both managers are. Slot is a league winner from Netherlands coming to England. And also Liverpool, the structure that they have at this point. I talked about it when he was coming. I said there's a probability that he will succeed because the structure Liverpool have is prime for somebody to come in and just, get the ball rolling. And for Arteta, they did not do enough. And I think those questions will continue to be asked.
Let's put City under the spotlight, David. This is a team managed by Pep Guardiola. For some, he is the greatest manager of all time. For others, he is the best manager, irrespective of how bad City have been this season. But it beats my mind that a Pep team lacks imagination. A Pep team lacks creativity. How did we get here?
I think a lot of things contributed to what's happened right now. I think recruitment, generally, over the few years, fine, they were successful in those years, but I think they were not doing one of the things that was important, refreshing the squad very critically. Yeah. Some of the guys that left, they did not replace them with like-for-like replacement. The productivity those guys offered, the standards really dropped. When you are dropping from, likes of Raheem Sterling, likes of Leroy Sané, likes of Riyad Mahrez, you are dropping to Doku, to the likes of Sabino. Those guys, they are not on the same level. So I think their standards really dropped all over the pitch, even in defense as well. So I think it affected them.
All right, let's get back to Liverpool, David. All of this would not be possible without a certain Mohamed Salah. I'm going to go straight to the point. I'm going to put you on the hot spot. Is he on course to be the greatest Premier League forward?
I mean, it's very difficult to argue against him. He presents such a solid case. I mean, when you stack up what he has done, previously it was about only one title, and the numbers were there, but he had only one title. But if he adds another one to it, I mean, you cannot argue against him. The numbers he's doing is on course to have an all-timer season in the Premier League. The numbers he's churning are both for goals as his contribution. You can see generally that what he's doing to this team is literally dragging this team to a title.
Clever from David there to sidestep the question, give us a political answer. But hey, not to worry, you can understand. He's an Arsenal fan, and for Arsenal fans, Thierry Henry remains the best forward in the history of the Premier League. We need to go on a short break, but before we do that, David, what do you have for us from the world of stats?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for all that's been said about Salah, this season is having, everybody has talked about so many numbers, but one number that really caught my eye was the fact that in this season, he has contributed a goal and an assist at least in 11 games in this season. The only person who achieved this feat in recent times is Lionel Messi in 2014-2015. I mean, if you are touching Messi level numbers, I mean, there's no more that can be said about what he has achieved this season. For Manchester United fans, I don't know if to call it doom or to call it gloom, but I think under the numbers between what they did under Ten Hag at the first half of this season and what they are doing under Amorim is not too far in terms of goals scored. I think which is the biggest problem they've had this season. Under Ten Hag, they scored 12 goals in 11 games, which averaged to 1.09 per game. Under Amorim, they are doing they done 28 in 25, 1.12. I don't know what you can make of this number. Is it an improvement? But it's just, everybody knows the problem United now is actually putting the ball in the back of the net. They're actually underperforming their XG number. I didn't want to talk about XG, but generally they're underperforming their XG number, and it shows why they're performing this poorly. To know how bad Chelsea have performed this season, only Southampton, the team at the bottom of the Premier League, have considered more errors leading to shots. They've considered 41 errors leading to shots. Chelsea have considered 35 errors leading to shots. Actually, errors leading to goals. Southampton have considered 18 errors that have led to goals. Chelsea have considered 12. I mean, if you are touching those kind of numbers, and I think 50% of those errors have been committed by goalkeepers. They've had different goalkeepers, and each of them have contributed to what we are seeing right now. So there's a lot of problems at Chelsea, and the numbers go to point at it.
Not so good reading for Chelsea and Manchester United fans, but of course, Liverpool fans are desperately praying for a contract extension for the king himself, Mohamed Salah. Let's do a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. It is still Sports Pizza. Welcome back from that short break. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. We have lovely content for you also on our YouTube page. David, let's go to the world of boxing. Saudi Arabia seems to be the hub for elite boxing. The light heavyweights, 2 Russians, 140 years, the other 34 unified title fights. Arthur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. And Bivol got his revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Take two. There were a lot of names that was given to this fight. The fact that the first fight was close as well, just as this one was. But I think it was controversial because Beterbiev won the first one. But I think Bivol came with all manner of thoughts in his mind about how to make a revenge. And he stepped to that fight clearly. And even the numbers behind that fight, the punches he threw in that fight, he outscored in 40% punch accuracy. And 11 of the 12 rounds, he actually completed double-figure punches, and that's more than Beterbiev's 5 of the 12. So I think for him, he came into this fight and he deserved winner in this one. So
some have said the 9th round is perhaps one of the best rounds you will see in boxing history. Bivol gave us a masterclass on how to control a fight from an attacking and a defensive perspective. Still with boxing, do you want to see a trilogy, or maybe this guy should just look elsewhere?
I mean, they've added a lot of gloss to the light heavyweight, the category. I think maybe a trilogy will be considering the fact they are both Russians. There's a lot of bad blood. I think they will want to stretch it out for another fight. All
right, a funny thing for those who don't know, in the first fight, Bivol's ex-wife rooted for Beterbiev, and if you saw the video on social media, she was excited. I would like to see a video of her reaction to the loss of Beterbiev and the win of our ex-husband. Hey, I'm not prognosing, I'm just saying I want more content from her. That is, by the way, to the world of tennis, David. Mira Andreeva became the youngest winner of a Masters 1000 title after she defeated Clara Tauson in the Dubai Open final.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you have that kind of run to a final where you beat Elena Rybakina, you beat Iga, you beat Marketa Vondrousova, I mean,
all previous Grand Slam
winner. I mean, she came. One thing I like about her is her mentality. She just seems to, at a young age, she exudes the kind of mentality that you don't expect. The fact that she came into this year, she set the target of entering into the top 10. And by February, she has already achieved it. And immediately what she said was, I want to now make the top 5. That's really heady heights for somebody who is just that young. But I think for somebody who made her debut on the Grand Slam circuit in 2023, I think she was somebody who will remember the name. And now I think she's really making her name.
Yeah.
Let's see how far she can go with her career. Maybe a Grand Slam coming up next.
Yeah, she jumps into the top 10 next week when the rankings are out. She did say that her goal for 2025 was to be in the top 10. In February, she's already guaranteed a place in the top 10. Let's come home, and this time good news for the Tigers. They've qualified for the FIBA Afro Basketball Tournament 2025. They needed to win 3 games, having lost all 3 in the first series. They defeated host Libya, Cape Verde, and Uganda.
Yeah, I think for the Tigers, there's been a lot of rebuilding that has had to be done. After, I remember them winning the Afro Basket in 2021, that was the high they got to, and from then it seems like they couldn't sustain that high, failing to reach the Olympics, failing to qualify for subsequent Afro Basket Championship. We saw what the Tigers have been doing. They've been making strides on the world stage, up to the men to actually respond. We've seen a lot of things have happened. Players have come, players have gone. There's a lot of shuffle in the roster, but I think right now, hopefully this is the start of new things for them.
And not so much of a new thing for Semi Ajayi, who had a setback from the injury suffered a couple of weeks ago. David, the World Cup qualifiers
just around the corner.
Is around the corner, precisely in March. Should we be scared? Do we have quality cover in that position?
I really am very worried. When I saw the way he went down in that game at the weekend, I was really very pained because I was having an expectation he's back after months of layoff that at least Super Eagles will get something. Because right now, when you look at our options, not the very best. I mean, we can talk about Trustekong, but the level that he reached at the AFCON, I'm not sure he's going to be able to reach that level because he's in Saudi Arabia for a while now. He's in and out. He's not playing regularly. He's just there to, wind down his career. And then the other options, Kabin Bassey here is probably the best option we have right now. The likes of Gabriel Osho, Benjamin Tanimu, and they're not the very best right now. Hopefully we'll be able to manage through the qualifiers without him.
Hopefully Eric Chell, the new Super Eagles manager, will find a way around it. We need all points on board as we look forward to the World Cup qualifiers. We must qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Hey, 2022 wasn't so good from a Nigerian perspective. Yeah, I rooted for 1 or 2 countries, but hey, there's nothing as close and as satisfying as rooting for your own country. And finally, from the home scene, David, Nigerian players abroad.
Yeah, absolutely. The usual suspect, Moses Simon. I keep coming here every week and waxing really. I think he has taken this game to another level. This is another goal in their 3-1 victory over Marseille of all teams. It was a fantastic win for them. He has 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 goal contributions in 21 games. That is the kind of productivity that we wanted for the Super Eagles. Also, Ibrahim Olajuwon, I keep mentioning his name. Remember the spell he had when Finidi George was in charge. Hopefully, he doesn't fizzle out with the Finidi George era. Hopefully, he get a chance as a winger because Super Eagles really need wingers, especially on the right wing, because Chukwueze is not the best of form. He got a goal again for his team in a 3-2 victory. Chakuri for against Samsung for 3-2. Fantastic one for him. And also the man of the moment. I mean, we saw the drama that happened, last week. But for Lookman, he responded in perfect fashion. I like when players respond like this. He got 2 goals for Atalanta in their 5-0 victory at the weekend. Fantastic one for him. Also for Gift Orban, this is somebody who I have high expectation for. Nigerians generally have high expectation for him. His career has been up and down. He has found his way to Germany now. He has got 4 goals in his first 7 games for them. Hopefully he can find his way back into Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right, enough analysis. Let's whet your appetite with our video for the week. When we return, it's going to be the Tipsters Corner. Welcome back from that short break. David, I love boxing, but hey, I will never participate in these sports, regardless of how much I'm being offered.
I mean, it's not for everybody. even the charity fight, celebrity fight, I'm not interested. I just won't get into the ring.
All right, let's get to the Tipsters Corner. What do you have for us, Octopus David?
Yeah, absolutely. The markets this weekend look very nice. I think I went to Italy. I'm looking at AC Milan versus Lazio. We know what that game means for top 4 qualifications, Champions League qualifications. And looking at the last few fixtures between those teams, AC Milan and Lazio, there's not been a clear outright dominant force. But so the results market is very difficult. But if you want to be very safe, you can go for a Milan 1x at home against Lazio. Fine, AC Milan are not the best of all, but at least at home they are very good enough under consensus to get at least a draw or a 1x. You can go for either half as well because Lazio are all over the place. For the goals market, that is where the real juice is. I think both teams will score. Lazio will score, AC Milan also score. I think over 1.5 because in the last 5 fixtures, only once have they not done over 1.5. So over 1.5, both teams to score, a 1x for AC Milan.
All right, so other fixtures?
Yeah, I looked at the big one in Italy, the big one coming up this weekend, Napoli versus Inter Milan. Fantastic fixture. You know what it means for the title.
Yeah.
Looking at the actual numbers, what these 2 teams have done in their last 5 fixtures, it's been more of Inter Milan. They've won 2, Napoli have won 1. There's been 2 draws in their last 5 fixtures. So if you're looking for the result market, because Napoli are at home and Conte he has a way of protecting his home record.
Yeah.
You go for a 1x or a Napoli to win either half. And I mean, it sounds difficult, but I think they'll be able to do enough. What they've struggled from is actually maintaining leads. They've actually led in games and struggled to hold it. So I think both teams to score as well for the goals market. I think the Inter Milan will score, Napoli will score, then over 1.5, because only once in their last 5 fixtures has over 1.5 not been produced. Over 2.5 might be much of a stretch, but over 1.5 is very safe.
And finally,
yeah, the Wanda Metropolitano, Athletic Bilbao being the visitors. I think for this one, because of Atletico Madrid's strong form at home, they are unbeaten this season in La Liga at home. I think they'll get a 1x. I mean, 1x seems a very safe option. You don't want them to lose. At least if they get a draw, a win, fantastic one for you. For the goals market as well, I think both teams have also scored in 2 of their last 5 fixtures. So you might actually go for both teams to score. Look at the fact that Atletico Bilbao got a 7-1 between their last fixture. They are looking very good in terms of goals. So both teams to score. The overs on that market, I think over 1.5 goals is looking very safe, because if both teams score, you get over 1.5 goals as well.
All right, remember to bet responsibly, and the Sports Pizza is not liable for any loss. We just give you our expert opinion on the likely outcomes of these games. I hope you've enjoyed every segment of this show. It's time to say our goodbyes, but remember to follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. You can go down to the YouTube channel, give us a follow, subscribe, and enjoy all the fantastic stuff we have for you. David, once again, it's a pleasure having you on set.
I mean, the pleasure is on my head. Always a pleasure doing this with you. From me, David, is goodbye.
And from me, Edwin Onyeboli, say have a fantastic sporting week. God bless you.